MantisProperty integrates with Xero, the world's #1 cloud-based accounting software. If you're using Xero for your accounting, then MantisProperty can be connected up so that when you create invoices in MantisProperty, they are automatically synced across to Xero. This can save you hours on admin time and avoids mistakes that often happen when you have to do double entry of invoices in multiple systems. In this video, I'll walk you through how to connect up your MantisProperty account to your Xero account and how to configure what you need and then how it all works. So the first thing that you do in MantisProperty is go into Preferences, Third-Party Integrations, and Xero. You'll then be presented with this screen, which allows you to connect to your Xero account. So just click Connect to Xero. This will then transfer to a Xero login screen where you need to log into your Xero account. Once you've logged in, it'll come up with a screen similar to this, just asking you to authorize access to MantisProperty and Mantis Technologies, which is the parent company of MantisProperty. So you just need to click Allow Access. It will take a few seconds for the connection to be authorized by Xero. And once it does, it'll transfer back to the MantisProperty site and show this screen to let you know that your Xero account has been connected. You then need to just click OK. Once you've connected up, then it will take you to your settings, which you can access at any time by going into Preferences, Third-Party Integrations, and then Xero. In this screen, you just need to set up your tax rates and default account items, etc. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that it's connected to the right organization. Then click Refresh Accounts, and that will just make sure that all of your accounts have been connected up. And then in here, you select what your default account item is. You select your GST rates. And then you also select some settings here in regards to your invoices. So you select when invoices are created in Xero for them to automatically be approved, submitted for approval, or just draft. You specify whether the amounts are going to be tax inclusive, tax exclusive, or no tax. And also specify your currency based on which currencies your Xero account supports. Then click Save Changes. At any time, if you want to check what's happening with the connection between Xero and MantisProperty, you can always come into Processing Log, and this will show you any invoices that have been sent to Xero and any messages that have come back from Xero if there's any issues at all. So the next thing that we'll do is I'll show you how this works in relation to rent within property management. So if we go into an existing tenancy, go into the Rent tab, and in here you now have these items here. So you can automatically invoice the tenant whenever the rent is due. You can select whether you want the email to be automatically sent to the tenant and whether you want the invoice to be automatically sent to Xero. And if it is automatically sent to Xero, you select which account code those invoices need to go into. We can also go into the tenant section or the landlord section to create invoices for a landlord or tenant. So in here, we want to create an invoice for the landlord. Just click Create Invoice. In here, it'll automatically pick up if there's any bills that you've put in that the landlord needs to pay for. You select which ones you want to go into Xero. There's a tick box here to say whether you want that to be sent to Xero, and it's defaulted to yes. And then in here, it defaults to the Xero account that you've specified as the default account. So you can change those for specific items if you need to. And then you simply click Create Invoice. That'll create the invoice and send it into Xero. The same goes for if it's a sales invoice. I'll go into a listing here. And in here, we want to add an expense. We've got an expense here that the vendor needs to pay. If we decide we want to send them an invoice for that to be paid, just click Create Invoice. That's picked up that item's due. And again, you've got all the options here to send it to Xero, choose which Xero account that item is going to go into, and that'll create the invoice in Xero. It's the same wherever there's invoices in MantisProperty. For example, you can send invoices to vendors. You can create expenses and send them to agents or your salespeople for invoices they need to pay. So all of your invoicing within MantisProperty can be synced up directly into Xero, and that saves you having to manually enter that information into Xero. We've also set it up so that if anything is marked as paid in Xero, then it will automatically mark it as paid in MantisProperty. This is really good for if you have bank feeds set up in Xero and you're reconciling that way. As you reconcile your bank feeds against your invoices in Xero, it'll automatically be marking those invoices off as paid in MantisProperty.